Oh, got some ginger. Goddamn, this shit is good. I don't know what's in this, but you can tell by the color. This is some cold pressed juice with ginger in it. I don't know what like the main base of it is. It's absolutely fucking delicious and nutritious. Muy bien. But anyway, yeah, I can't say that I'm feeling this shirt, nor am I feeling this trash behind me. So let me see if I can do something about these things to deliver the most reasonable presentation possible. And we're back. I can't say the shirt is that much better, but it feels cozier. So I wanted to talk about the Lucifer rebellion. And what I feel like the Bible was referring to when they were discussing the forbidden fruit, or Eve eating the forbidden fruit, or the apple. They say that nobody said anything about an apple, but I don't know where we got that from. Whatever it was, whatever fruit that Eve had consumed that was forbidden. I have this huge smile on my face because it's like, this is the video I kind of wanted to discuss for a minute. I wanted to break down and go into detail about for a good minute. I just didn't know how I was gonna like structure it and like articulate it, which I still don't know, to be honest. I didn't take any notes on how I'm like gonna, I wanna address something that isn't that important real quick. I have both sides of my nose pierced, and I lost one of my nose rings, what the fuck? I lost one of my nose rings getting ready too fast this morning, just moving too quickly, and it dropped in the carpet, and I haven't been able to find it since. So I feel like I lost a little bit of my mojo, if I'm not like, if I don't have my usual swagger in the video. I feel like people have like an already perceived viewpoint on how I feel about the natural world. Obviously, I'm a nature enthusiast. I'm a natural enthusiast in general. Natural hair, natural face, natural skin, natural foods. Just a natural enthusiast. And there's an artificial world that exists, obviously, as you can see, with houses and shirts and plastic and chairs that exist as well. I think what happened when the Lucifer rebellion was taking place, people are gonna ask me, what is the Lucifer rebellion? So first of all, the Lucifer experiment. We've all heard of the name Lucifer, right? We know who Lucifer is: Satan, the devil, the root of all evil, as Christians like to refer to it. And honestly, Christians have done this story a great disservice with the way they have placed judgment on the concept of Lucifer. Because first and foremost, before I even explain what the Lucifer experiment is, we wouldn't even know who Lucifer was. Christians, for example, you wouldn't even know of Lucifer's existence if you didn't choose to follow Lucifer in some way, shape, or form. If you didn't choose to experience this reality with Lucifer, because there are realities that exist where Lucifer isn't even a part of the story. There are realities in this universe that Lucifer is not even mentioned. There's no battle with Satan, there's no battle with evil, there's no story of being tempted by the devil. Like, there's none of that. It doesn't even exist because they did not follow the Lucifer experiment. So, okay, what is the Lucifer experiment? The Lucifer experiment is a act of rebellion, because it's also known as the Lucifer rebellion, that all of us followed, all of us, anybody who's watching this video. It is a rebellious act that we chose to follow. We did this rebellious act because there was information in this universe that hadn't yet been experienced at the time. At the time that we agreed to follow Lucifer, who was an angel with all the codes, all the keys, Lucifer was referred to as the bright and shining one of God's most intelligent angels, and Lucifer wanted to be just like God. not necessarily be God, because Lucifer couldn't be God, but Lucifer wanted to be just like God. So Lucifer created its own reality, or his own reality, whatever, if you want to give it a gender or a pronoun, and separated, extracted himself from God and convinced other angels who were existing and already existing in oneness and existing in eternity to follow him through to this experiment, because there was information that hadn't yet been lived through. That was the purpose. Real quick interjection. Excuse the ducks. I'm gonna assume everyone who's watching this video understands that when I'm mentioning Lucifer and I'm speaking on how like angels were convinced to follow him through this experiment, we're not talking about individualistic entities as human beings would commonly perceive any being to be. We are talking about a whole different level of consciousness embodied on a completely different form, maybe even formless. And I wanted to say this real quick because this is a real gem that most people don't know. But when we mention angels, right, we're also talking about angles. This is how linguistics work, especially in consciousness. Angels are angles of consciousness. And you know how sacred geometries are the constructs of reality that bring forth manifestations of creations. Everything that we experience on earth, there's a geometry behind it. There's geometry surrounding our bodies. Well, obviously, we know that there are angles within geometries, within shapes. So Lucifer was an embodied angle of consciousness. Archangel Michael, they are embodying angles of consciousness that have them at a completely different level of consciousness than we're able to perceive. Just like this is my body that I'm in right now, they are in 90-degree angles or very sacred degree angles that are, they are embodying that. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but I think it makes sense. Like, they're embodying those angles. They are those angles of consciousness. And that's why they are in a completely different reality. That's why they are immortal. That's why Lucifer had the ability and the power and the awareness to even separate and extract itself from the original reality, because it understood the codes. It understood the geometries behind this universal time matrix that we exist in. There was information in this universe that hadn't yet been lived through and experienced, and someone had to do it. Because the universe is billions of years old. As people say, there's nothing new under the sun. But there was something that Lucifer saw that was like, wait, if we extract ourselves and separate ourselves from God, we can go experience this very unique, universal time matrix that is yet to be lived through. And every single person who's watching this video chose to follow Lucifer through this experiment, which was an act of rebellion, which was an act of free will, if you will. Like, there was no free will until this happened. Free will obviously is the ability to make a choice outside of the laws of universal oneness. Choosing to make mistakes, choosing to learn lessons, because you have the right to do so. You have the right to go outside of divine order to, experience, right? But it's information in that free will. There's information in that free will that hadn't been lived through and experienced. So we were bringing that information back to source. And of course, what never makes sense about Christians is that, like, God obviously gave permission for us to make these mistakes, to learn these lessons, to have free will, but somehow the devil is just the most evil person to exist. Like, I don't understand the logic behind it when it's like God approved of this. So I don't understand. God created sin, God created Lucifer, but you can burn forever if you don't follow God. But God knows everything and God created everything. I don't know. I don't understand the logic. That's why I'm no longer Christian. Moving forward. So when Lucifer separated himself from the original reality that God created to create this synthetic reality, what was instantly manifested as a result of doing that was duality. That's when the story of good and bad, dark and light, night and day, good and evil, which is really God and devil, that's when this story took place. And we separated ourselves from the God component, meaning that we needed to forget who we were in order to achieve this mission. Temporarily forget who we were in order to achieve this mission, of course, temporarily. But the biggest duality that was manifested of them all as a result of this rebellion was, well, let me say experiment. I like the word experiment better. As a result of this experiment was the duality of the natural reality with nature and plants and trees, and the artificial synthetic reality with houses and cars and materials. This is where synthetic artificial creations come from. They're not natural. You have to go through like some type of reverse effect to natural order to even create these things. That's why too much of them are obviously harmful to the environment, but they all do source from the planet, which is crazy. We couldn't make any of these materials without Earth material, but yet somehow they're harmful to the environment because why? We chose an unnatural way to be able to even conceive of the ideas. We chose an unnatural order to bring these fruitions into life. That's how they got here. That's how they even reached us in the mental plane before they popped up in the physical. So I struggle personally with the artificial world. I don't feel that grounded within it. I'm not a materialistic person by any means. It's just not in my nature to heavily value materialism. No matter how much money I have, no matter how well I'm doing financially, I usually rather spend money on experiences before I buy something actually like physically tangible. And to be honest, I used to think that I was wasting my money when I was doing that. I would think to myself all the time, like, damn, I really need a new wardrobe. I need new clothes. I need new shoes, definitely. And here I am spending $80 on shrooms, and they're gone within a week or two, and I can buy a pair of shoes that could last me 2 or 3 years. What am I doing? I used to really think like, damn, I'm really wasting my money because I spend money on trips and like booking a flight somewhere and Airbnbs and traveling before I actually buy something that has like more, more longevity to it, something more tangible that lasts longer. And what I realized is that, wait, these experiences are shaping my mental space and also my spirituality in a way that has 10 times the longevity. Matter of fact, eternal, infinite amounts of the longevity that these materials have. It took me a minute to realize that, because I really was like, damn, bro, like I'm really just like shrooming my money away. I take them and then they're gone, and I'm like, ooh, I don't have anything to show for it. But my psychology and the openness of my spirit and the transformation of my life is what was the longevity. That was what I had to show for it. This has kind of been where some of my like biggest, well, not biggest, I was about to say biggest fears, but not really even that. Someone had asked me one time like what my biggest fear was, and it wasn't more so a fear, it was a unsettling truth. It was an unsettling truth, and that unsettling truth is that we rely on materials. We are codependent on material. Not even codependent, that's for relationships. We are dependent on materials to live, to survive, to exist. We rely on these things. One, obviously, as most people know, I've expressed before, I'm not even the most materialistic person. I really don't give that much of a fuck about materials. I give a very minimal fuck about materials. I love existing in the natural world. I love being in nature. And if I could, just throw it all away and go live in the forest, oh my goodness, just the amount of conditioning and programming I would have to face in order to accomplish such feat, I would go for it. As much as I would love to do that, I have 20-something years of programming, and so does my ancestors, my lineage have, on relying on this reality, where we need these material things, where we use these material things so much in our everyday living that we don't know how to exist without them. My uncomfortability with it, or my resistance, is the fact that we are giving our power away in the process. Let me give you an example. When you are hot or you are cold, what do? You either turn on the fan or you turn on the heater. You instantly gave your power away. Why? Because we have the power within us to regulate our body temperature. Instead of using telepathy to communicate with one another, we use a telephone, you know? And I'm not saying it as if it's wrong or if it's bad or I'm judging it. Like, I'm not giving that perception to it. This is just facts. A crazy thing about this is that it's painted to us by society as a means of convenience. That's the crazy thing. It's like, you know how they say, with great power comes great responsibility. It's like, hey, yeah, give us the responsibility of you being able to do this shit on your own in exchange for us giving you a product that can do it for you. It's like, like, that shit's crazy. And I'm not like painting it as a bad thing, but that's just facts. That's literally what it is. It's like, yeah, you can do that on your own if you know, really go within yourself and make it happen. But don't worry about that. No need to go within yourself. No need to activate your inner abilities. I'll make it easier for you. This machine can do that in seconds. Obviously, too much of these synthetic materials and these external creations that we are creating has a very, very destructive effect on the natural world. We see what we are doing to the animals and their environments. We see what we're doing to the ocean. We see how we're running out of like space for landfills because we're producing so much trash. We see what we're doing to the environment with using gas and oil. We see where too many of these external creations, hey. We see what they're doing to the natural world. But not even just that, not even only that, but we're becoming spiritually dependent on these materials and on these synthetic creations. It's become such an unsettling truth for me to accept, because when you create one material, you have to create another material for that material. Like, for example, you create a phone, you gotta create a phone case for that phone, and a charger for that phone, and then a screen protector for that phone. Or we started cooking things, we created pans, or pots and pans to cook. Now you need a bowl to put the servings into. You also need a fork or a spoon for that bowl or that plate. Now you need a dishwasher, which also needs, you know, dishwashing liquid. And then that creates plastic for the dishwashing liquid to be contained within. Like, it's just nonstop. And it's like, when is it going to stop? Like, it just continues and continues. Don't get me started on cars and all the parts that come with cars, and then all the materials and warehouses that you got to make for the parts of the cars. It's just nonstop, bro. It's non-fucking stop. And nature is just existing in perfection. Nothing needs to be added to it. Nothing needs to be taken away. It's just already there. Goddamn, an ant bit my foot. If I could do without it, I very much would. I really would. I would drop all the so-called convenience, the technology, the phones, the houses, the cars. I would drop all that shit. It feels, at this point, more of a burden than it is an actual spiritual benefit. Shouts out to the people who do have a good, healthy balance in this world, the natural world, at least because I'm outside, and the artificial world. Shouts out to y'all, because I know a lot of people who are quote unquote conscious and spiritual and whatever, and they don't struggle with this. They balance both of these worlds very, very seamlessly. Cats are so antisocial. I would love to have that balance, but I miss feeling at home. I miss where I came from, where I know there was a reality that I experienced many different lifetimes ago, where I was in complete oneness with all there is, and I didn't need anything outside of myself. I didn't need anything outside of myself to assist me, to help me. When I be looking at these like nature shows where they'll do like a a drone shot of like the tropical rainforest, and everything is just like in this oneness of like just all the trees just look just beautiful and in this like communion, and they're just, everything is just perfectly flowing the way it needs to be. I'm just so in awe. Like if I see like a drone shot of a river, or just like, or like anything where it's just completely natural, there's like no buildings, and they're just hovering over it and just showing you, or like Earth from space, or the stars like in the sky, like a time lapse of us like going, like moving through the galaxy at night. Like I am glued to the screen every time. That is nothing casual to me. I can't just see that on the screen, just kind of walk by. I'm always like amazed, like blown away every single time. It doesn't matter when or what's happening, like my eyes are glued to the screen. If I walk into a thrift store, it is the complete opposite. It's not on purpose. It's not because I'm trying to do that. It is just the complete opposite. I am instantly disgusted. I am turned off. I don't want to go in there. And I realize that it's like when you're looking at these 3D shots of nature, everything is in communion. It's in oneness. It's in this one piece. When I walk into a store, you are seeing separate inanimate objects, and everything is broken down. Everything looks divided. You know what I mean? Like everything looks, nothing, it doesn't look like a symphony. It's not moving in an orchestra. It looks separate and divisive, and just, there's no unity. And that's what it's doing visually to my eyes. And I'm just like sensitive enough to just be like, this shit doesn't look good, you know? Like it doesn't look visually pleasing to my eyes, especially thrift stores with like a bunch of shit in there, and it's just like a bunch of random shit. I was just like, I do accept it, but I don't feel completely at home is the problem. I can accept it, and I can understand that this is the nature of the world that we exist in. I understand that I chose to experience this very unique information that hadn't been experienced ever before. So I came along with you guys who are watching, and everyone I know, to experience this very unique sub-time matrix, this universal sub-matrix, and take as much of my experiences and the information within my experiences and bring it back to source. I know that's why I came here, to see what's happening, to see the way this world works, to understand the nature of a reality that is separate from God, to create that illusion, to remember and merge back with God, because there's information in that. There's information in the forgetting, and then the remembering. Again, remembering, regathering the members of your own consciousness to merge back with source, to merge back with God. Obviously, people look at Lucifer as some evil character in the plot of this drama, this cosmic drama that we exist in. I think that's a very obviously human, judgmental way of perceiving it. I don't feel that it's that black and white. I think there's a lot of information that the Bible is missing in regards to the story. It should be understood. It should be decoded. It should be decoded. Let's stop blaming women also for doing something forbidden. Like, why are we blaming Eve? Like she was the reason, like she was tempted, or, you know, like we all chose to do this. We all chose to bite the symbolic forbidden fruit. We all chose to experience this reality and separate ourselves, or at least create the illusion of separation from divinity. They blamed it on the snake, the serpent, that was tempting the woman, when really that's just the woman's divine sexuality being expressed in Kundalini, which is also a symbol of a serpent. And as you can see, that's been shamed upon in our world as well. Look how women's sexuality has been suppressed. The woman's nipple can't even be shown in public, you know? The Bible has had, well, at least people's interpretation of the Bible has people thinking like the Kundalini, or the woman's sexual expression, is is something to shame, because we shame the serpent in the Bible that tempted Eve to do something that was quote unquote forbidden. Yeah, man, this shit goes deep. I wonder if I really expressed all of my knowingness. I most certainly did not. At least as much of my knowingness as I possibly could convey in this video. All right, so let's wrap this up. A couple things. What? Okay, man. Trinity just texted me some shit that didn't make sense. All right, so to wrap this up, something I left out in regards to the whole separation thing. There's so many different acts of separation that resulted as a means of us separating ourselves from God. Like little acts that, you know, that can kind of trace back to that initial happening that took place. And one of the biggest examples of separation was the atomic bomb. Do you know how they make a fucking atomic bomb? Do you know how they make an explosion when a bomb goes off? Do you know what they do in order for that to happen? They separate a fucking atom. They split an atom in half and it explodes. Obviously, you're not supposed to split a fucking atom, because that is the most basic means of creation. That's the most basic means of structure. And you split that shit in two, you're gonna create a fucking ripple. You're gonna do the opposite of what this is. You're gonna fucking fuck everything up. And they've done that plenty of times. And there are beings all over the planet that are watching our evolution because of this. One, because they don't want us to blow our planet the fuck up, because they have relations to Earth. They have, you know, genetic lineage to, or genetic relation to human beings. Syrians, Octarians, Pleiadians, like these beings, for example, they, and many others, they are watching us very closely. They're watching our evolution, they're watching our growth, they're watching our ascension process very closely, because it has a lot to do with them as well. It's related to their ascension process, and because we are in a very unique position as human beings to have the artificial world and to have the natural world, to be connected to our God component, still not be completely detached from it. Like, we're not completely separate from our God component like some beings are, that are just like completely logical beings, just purely logical. They don't have their feminine component, they don't have their emotional component. They are just completely logical, completely technological minded beings. And we are not like that. We have a good balance of both, and we're in both worlds at the same time. It's a unique perspective that hasn't been seen before in this universe, and beings are watching us. Like, there are so many races and civilizations, extraterrestrial civilizations, that are just watching our evolution very closely, because it's a wonder to see how it's gonna turn out. They're intrigued to see where this will take us, because we are creating a new reality in this universe that hasn't been seen yet before. So that's why they're watching us, to see how it plays out, to see how things go, because yes, it's all documented and being recorded into the Akashic records. This is an insane time period that we live in. I think it's very casual for us because we're the characters in the play, so we're just kind of in it, dealing with the adversities, dealing with the drama of it all, dealing with the conflict, dealing with the laws against nature, dealing with the battle, the spiritual warfare that's taking place. Like, we're in it, so we're not able to always see it from the outside in. But I'm trying to tell you, if you need some sources, read Volume 2 of The Flower of Life, The Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life by Drunvalo Melchizedek. He'll tell you a lot of what's going on in there. You can go to the Ascension Glossary. Type in the Ascension Glossary on Google. You'll find it. You'll find lots of esoteric information in regards to our ascension process, and in regards to what it means to be a human being at this time, and like where we're taking this duality of artificial synthetic reality and nature, and how we're using both at the same time to evolve. And like I say all the time, we cannot lead with the artificial synthetic reality, with the Lucifer experimental aspect of creation. We cannot lead with that. We have to lead with nature. We have to lead with God's original reality, and use the technological aspect, the synthetic aspect, to assist us as well in this process, in this evolutionary ascension that we're going through. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. Hopefully I made some sense out of these things. I know there's more to discuss in regards to this topic. Merkaba fields, the gray alien civilization, gray alien race, technology, deals that our government, our secret government made with extraterrestrial beings that are related to this Lucifer experiment, the beings who completely severed themselves from their emotional component, and how they've abducted certain human beings to tie into our DNA so that they can evolve with the feminine component, because they know we have it and they don't, but they gave us technology in exchange for it, or they gave the government technology in exchange for it. It's deep. This is some deep shit. But I did my best to convey the message. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tapping into the Flow Network. More videos to come.